practice. What should it look like? What is good practice? And what's important? And so often I see especially junior players practicing, and I don't always see the purpose behind it. Maybe they're hitting a lot of balls, maybe they're hitting in the middle, maybe they're hitting cross court, and yeah, there is a certain benefit to getting rhythm, consistency, feeling good about your ball striking and things like that. But when that's the only thing that is done and it's considered practice, that's where I just feel like it doesn't make sense. For me, practice should always be about challenging yourself, about improving, especially for younger players. And are you putting yourself in uncomfortable positions where you start to become, more comfortable in those uncomfortable places? And that's going to sometimes mean there's going to be some errors and there's going to be some mistakes, and you're pushing your limits a little bit and you're trying to raise your level. But that's healthy, and for me, that's what practice very often should look like. Give you an example. I was at a big international junior tournament at the end of the year, and I was watching a player play, and it was an important moment in the match. They went out wide to the forehand corner, and they had to come up with a very difficult passing shot in a difficult moment under some sort of scoreboard pressure, and they missed it. And they reacted terribly, like they should never miss that shot, and it was a shock. And it had its impact on the match. And after the match, I asked this player, out of curiosity, how often have you practiced that shot, that situation where you've been running out into that position of the court and you've tried to pass in that area of the court, and how's your sort of consistency been with that shot? And their answer surprised me even more. Well, not necessarily surprised me, but they said, well, never. I hardly ever practiced that shot. So I said to them, well, if you've never really practiced it, why were you so upset when you missed it? Because the expectation of making it wasn't in reality with what you've actually done before and practice and things like that. So I sort of encouraged them and said, look, maybe you should practice balls like that a little bit more often, because if you expect to make them and you know that it's going to have an important factor or bearing on an outcome of a match sometimes, well, isn't that what practice is all about? So I challenge you, and I ask you to think a little bit about your practice. Are you challenging yourself enough? Are you putting yourself in some uncomfortable positions and getting better at coming up with the goods, coming up with the shots that you need in certain moments? And are you thinking about ways to improve? Are you practicing sometimes the more difficult or more uncomfortable things? And if you're not, then maybe you should be. So have a little think and try to improve your practice habits.